Today we're going to be cruising the Burg with Monica Holmes. She's got some great stories about Pittsburgh, about her life here. So why don't we start off by talking a little bit about where you're from and what brought you to Pittsburgh?
Okay. So I grew up in Columbus, so pretty close to Pittsburgh.
Not too far.
Yeah.
Not too far.
I have a great family. We were all really close. I'm a middle child, and the middle child syndrome thing is real. It's a real thing. But I have an older sister and a younger brother, and I don't know, we grew up playing sports. It was a huge part of my childhood, and I really wanted to stay close to home. Wanted to go to Pitt State.
So was Pitt State always going to be kind of where you always lived?
I think so. I remember looking at a few colleges, but I was always pretty set on Pittsburgh.
So, and then that's where you met your husband, Quentin?
Yeah. So I met Quentin my freshman year there. Had classes with him, and I remember thinking, like, I didn't know him, didn't know his name, but I remember thinking, okay, this guy's kind of cute.
Yeah.
And not only did we have a couple of classes together, but there were a couple times during the week where he must have been leaving class and I was going to class, and we always seemed to pass each other right there in the oval.
Feels like fate.
Always.
Feels
Felt like fate.
Yeah.
And still had not talked to each other, but I always
really?
got, the Quentin nod.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know that.
The
for
little
sure.
nod. I would get the little nod every once in a while.
And the smirk.
Little smirk.
Yeah, gotcha.
But so my roommate in the dorms, I remember telling her, like, there's this guy, like, I think I could marry him. And she's like, have you talked to him? Nope. I don't know anything about him.
So
I don't
you were
know
talking about marrying him before you even talked to him. That's interesting. Well, there's got to be something there.
Yeah. And then he was doing the same, apparently talking to his roommate about me. Come to find out, my roommate and him went to the same high school. So he finally built up the nerve, talked to me one day, and here we are.
Well, that's a great story. That's a great story.
So cheerleading wasn't an option for either one of us, but in my freshman experience class, I think it was like an assistant teacher. He was a former yell leader, and every time I'd walk in, he'd say, "You're so little. Have you ever thought about cheering in college?" And I would say, "Nope."
You
But
play sports, right?
somehow they talked us both into it. And it was a cool experience. Quentin was always my stunt partner, so he was the one holding me up in the air, throwing me in baskets. So
this just seems like a total natural.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, this is meant to be. You started the Cheer Pitt. That kind of tell us a little bit about how that came about.
So we got a call one day when we were living in Chanute from a couple families, local families in Pittsburgh, and they just introduced themselves. We had no idea who they were, and they said, "Hey, we want a gym in Pittsburgh that offers cheerleading and tumbling for kids, and we heard that you guys are the people to do that." So we sat down with them, and they kind of just went over like what they would like. We ended it with they handed us a check, a large amount of money that they loaned to us to buy all of the equipment, get everything going. On a handshake, we walked out the doors, and I remember getting in the car, and first of all, we're like, what just happened? But we both cried because it was a big moment for us. And I think that was the first time we were like, okay, Pittsburgh's home.
And that's such a good example of the kind of things that happen in Pittsburgh that just don't happen.
Yeah, doesn't happen. So, we bought all the equipment. We decided to host an open house, and it was at Jake's Fireworks, north of town. Little bitty space, which at that time, that's all we needed. But we had our open house, and we were just praying for like 20 kids to sign up. That was the goal.
I was wondering.
20 kids.
I was wondering.
And within that 2-hour open house, we had 85 kids sign up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you must have outgrown the Jake's location pretty quickly. We outgrew
the Jake's location pretty quickly. So then we moved into where Mac Fitness, or I think it's Alpha now. We moved in there, and that's where we stayed. My favorite part of just owning that business was just the opportunity to build relationships with those kids and the families, and we're still really close to a lot of those people to this day.
Well, being open for 12 years, that's like a generation of kids that you worked with.
Yeah.
It's certainly become kind of an institution in Pittsburgh now, and you started it.
Yeah, it was cool. We had people, which this is crazy to me, but we had multiple families who would drive from Kansas City like 2 or 3 times a week I think there were almost 10 families that drove from Springfield.
Transitioned from the Cheer Pitt. What did you do after that?
At that time, the Big Brothers Big Sisters area director position came open and kind of fell into my lap. I was able to learn about, the mission and what they do, and I was just like, yep, that's for me. So applied, took the job. I've been doing that for about 4.5 years now. So when I stepped into the role, I quickly realized that a lot of people didn't know exactly what we do. A lot of people have heard about it. I thought to myself, here I am, a member of the community who's ran a gym for 12 years working with kids. We were doing police protective custody. But I was like, how have I not heard more about the organization? So that's when I realized, I was like, there is just a need for people just to bring awareness. I love what we do. The kids that we serve, they're awesome kids.
So how do you become a big?
If you're interested, on our website, there's a link where you can click on it. You can fill out an interest form. From there, we contact you. You would do an info session where you get to learn all about the kids that we serve, how expectations for being a big, because commitment and just being able to show up consistently is big. You learn all of that. If you're still interested, we then send you an application. You fill out an application. We try to match them with a kid that has similar interests, personalities, because we want it to be a strong, friendship. And another thing that we really started to grow is our site-based program, where the mentors go into the schools only. So the commitment's not quite as much. It's maybe good for college students, retired teachers. But anyways, we've kind of revamped that to where they're focusing on reading also, because when we talk to the schools, we're like, hey, we're in there. How else can we help? What else is there a need for? And reading got brought up a lot. So we are really trying to grow our site-based program. So if anybody's interested in being a mentor, going into the school once a week or once every other week for about 30 minutes, hang out with the kid, spend a little bit of time reading.
Well, we're coming up on another building in town that has some significance to you and Quentin. The Smithsonian building, which used to be the Smith Clinic.
Yep.
I think everyone is familiar with it.
Yeah.
There was a big fire in there, as you know, and we were able to. Our fire department was able to save the building, but it sat empty for a while, and some people saw some potential in it, and with no small effort, both financial and physical effort, that building has been completely renovated and is now a viable market rate apartment
There's
building.
14 units in there.
14.
Yep, 14.
And I had the chance to tour it before they opened up the units, and it is
so
a
cool?
thing of beauty. It is a thing of beauty.
It is.
It is so well preserved, so well. The apartments are beautiful, right here on Broadway. It's a great place for anybody.
So being a part of DVLP and just walking through the whole process, it was fun. It was interesting because I'm the type of person that I just couldn't visualize the potential.
Sure.
And so seeing it just come to life has been
sometimes you walk through these old buildings and it's such a wreck, and you're like, you don't know. I really do admire those people that can see these buildings in terrible shape and see their potential.
Yeah, and so my office is in 113.
So the Big Brothers Big Sisters is in that DVLP office.
Yep.
Well, the offices are very
They're
cool.
so cool.
They're very cool.
Collaborative space, lots of great people working in there.
And there's residential space above
upstairs. Yeah, all of those I believe are leased. I think there's 4 Airbnbs that stay pretty busy. Downstairs there's some commercial space available, so we're just kind of waiting. There's been lots of ideas and cool things talked about, so I think that's been a big change, is just revitalizing the downtown. It's a fun spot to be now.
People come from all around now.
Restaurants, I didn't have money in college, so I probably could not have afforded to go eat. But if we would have had the restaurants that we have now, I probably would have gotten a second job just to be able to go eat the good food.
Anything you see going forward in Pittsburgh? Anything you'd like to see in Pittsburgh?
That's a tough question. I mean, I think it's hard because everybody wants to see change like quickly, like overnight. And so baby steps, I know we're getting there. I don't know, maybe more amenities just for young people or even people, young families, starting families here that want to stay here. Recreation. I know we talked about sports for me personally. That was a big part of our life growing up and even our kids' life. So maybe some sports complex or, I know that's been talked about, but so we got sucked into pickleball and it is so cool because we will go up there and play with people in their 20s. We'll play with people in their 30s and 40s. We'll play Don Porter. We play with people in their 70s and 80s.
He's in his 80s.
Yeah. And it's been so fun just getting to know people in the community that you probably wouldn't normally connect with. That is growing. Those courts are full all the time. And I think it's going to continue to grow. I love sitting up there watching the young kids. There's always a pretty big group of high school and college kids that come.
Really good.
And if you watch them, they're not getting on their phones. They're just having fun. They're outside, staying active. And then hopefully, Mr. Dan Ship has wrestling on his radar.
Yeah, wrestling. Yeah.
Girls wrestling, boys wrestling, because, we would love to see our daughter stick around. That's what she wants to do right now. I think volunteering in it's important, whether it's with Big Brothers Big Sisters, any other organization. Any type of volunteering is good. One, it's rewarding. When you do good, it makes you feel good. But then also, I think it's a big part of just feeling like part of the community, that connection, and making our community stronger.
Those of us who are engaged heavily in the community understand the kind of value that you and Clinton have brought to the community, and we really appreciate it. We know what you've done. We know the commitments you've made, and the work that you've done has made a difference. We see it. We see the stuff that you've done.
And it takes a village. There's a lot of awesome people, individuals, groups, organizations working to make Pittsburgh stronger and better. And
so I just want to thank you.
Well, thank you.